Well, hi, folks. Ranger J.P. again out here at Chellberg Farm, and taking this off. I don't have anyone around me, so this will help a little bit. So we're out here at Chellberg Farm. It's maple sugar time, and what that means, it's the time of the year. You can only make maple syrup or maple sugar this time of the year, and the reason for that is that's when the sap is. You can collect the sap from the trees. It's coming up from the roots there, and during the days when it gets like this, beautiful, beautiful day. It's sunny out here. The snow that we got, all of that snow is melting like crazy, and nonetheless, the trees during the day when it gets this way, the sap starts moving quite a bit, and then what we do is we collect it. At night, we hope for days where the nights get into the freezing temperatures, and then during the day it gets above freezing, and that's when we really have that movement of sap in the trees. But this is really can show you here now how the sap is moving. It's just dripping like crazy, and boy, you can taste that. You can taste that sugar in there. There's a little bit of sugar. I wish I had was able to test this. I would say this is probably about maybe 2.5%, 3% sugar, which is really neat. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. So that's the first step. You got to find your maple trees and sugar maples, black maples, sugar maples. The other maples like a silver or red, they just don't have the sugar content the same. But you can still make it. It's just you got to boil more because it doesn't have that. So this is the sugar shack right here. The Chellbergs made this. They built this way back in the 30s, and what happened is one of the sisters here, one of the daughters of the Chellberg, married a Studebaker, and back in their family they had made it on land in that family. So he looked around and he said, "Wow, this woods has a lot of maple trees in it, a lot of sugar maples, and you ought to try to make some maple syrup." And they did it. They made quite a bit. Maybe I'll show you how much they made there. There's a board in here, an old historic board that's pretty neat, and it has some written notes of how much they made. So they made it, and remember last week, I don't know if you saw, but typically we talk about how the indigenous folks, maybe the Potawatomi, the Miami, how they originally made it. They learned how to make it, and then the early settlers made it, and then the Chellberg, they learned from them. Well, the dependence on it definitely changed. It went from quite a dependent food source for the indigenous folks, early settlers maybe as much, but then the Chellbergs, they didn't really need it, but it sure helped them, and it helped them with money. It helped them maybe pay their taxes, property taxes and such. They would make maple syrup and then put it on the train just down the road here, put it on maybe the South Shore, the electric train, and send it maybe east and definitely west towards the Gary, Chicago area. Fancy hotels and restaurants and stuff would buy it for their customers and such. So here's the Sugar Shack. It's a special building. You'll see some big, almost like doors on the roof up there. So you have it looks like smoke, but actually it's steam coming out of that. It's called a cupola, and those doors that are up there. And then you also have a chimney, and that's where the smoke comes out of the oven. It actually goes out of there. So there's that. So we'll come and take a look at this. All right, let's see. I either put this on or here's our friend Harry. You couldn't do this without volunteers, okay? And super ones at that. Hey, Harry, when were you volunteer of the year?
I don't know. 2017, 18, I remember.
Yeah, volunteer of the year right here. Yeah. So, anyways, knows more about this Sugar Shack operation probably than I do, but nonetheless, keeping a fire going here. And Harry, you know what? If you don't mind getting 6 feet from me, maybe back there, then I think this will help a little bit. Okay. definitely with the new executive order, when you're out in the park, definitely in a federal building, you must wear the mask. And also, even on trails, social distancing. If you're not within 6 feet, if you can't stay within 6 feet of someone, please wear a mask. So he went and hid over there a little ways from me. So this is the oven. This is the oven right here. Get a big old fire going in there. And what I did not show you was outside, and maybe when we're done in here, we'll go out and you'll see it. We'll do it a little backwards, but we have several hundred gallons out here, out this window, in big stock tanks, like the animals drink out of, but they're clean. They're just for sap collection. We fill those. And then what happens is, by gravity, it goes through the wall down here, and it goes in this pipe, and it comes up here, and then it comes into this. And there's a float. There's a little float right here that you can judge, or you can figure out how much you want to flow into the main evaporator pan. Okay, the main evaporator pan. And that's this pan right here. Large evaporator pan. And then what you have is we have two smaller pans back here, and we call those finishing pans, kind of where you finish it off, okay? And what we can do is we can kind of stop the flow from the main evaporator pan into these. So we're just starting now. This is just sap right now. You start with about 150 gallons. If you get a good rolling boil in the morning, you start with 150 gallons. Sometimes we've gotten lucky, and after about 6 hours, we can pull off close to 3 gallons. 3 gallons. And let me walk around here, and I'll show you that. So get a good rolling boil with a good fire here. Man, it's cold. That's nice. So sap comes in here. It boils and boils and boils it down. Now, you see this right here. What we do is we hang 1 or 2 glass jars up there, gallon jugs. And the reason we do that is when it is time to pour the syrup into the jugs, they have to kind of be preheated. If you put that syrup at about 217 degrees into a cold jar, you can just imagine what would happen. You might just explode, break. So this is what I was talking about. You got the flow in here. We have these little stoppers, and we can stop the flow wherever we want it to be. And then finally, when it's ready, what we do is we take this little container here, and we fill it. We fill it with the syrup that we feel is about ready. We put a hydrometer in there, and it measures the percent, roughly the percent. It's bricks. We shoot for about 66. You kind of look that up if you want to do more research on that. But we shoot for about 66. And I want to say it's a percent sugar. It's close enough. You can say it's roughly the percent, but it really it also has the minerals in there too with the sugar. So, but nonetheless, we go with about 66%. It works for us. If it's a little bit more, then you've kind of gotten you've taken too much water out of it. When you put it into the bottles, then in a short period of time, you'll start getting sugar crystals in there, and you kind of just took too much water out of it. Another thing that's pretty interesting. Let's show this. This is interesting as well. So let's say it's ready. It's not. But let's say it's ready, and you're going to do a draw. You're going to draw the syrup off of here. So you'll just go for it. You just go for it and pour it all into here. You open this tap, you'll close this, and so on. Or if you have both of them ready, then you can do both. And then you pour it into here, and you put it in a big bucket. Well, you have these filters, okay? You have a thick felt filter right here. And when we put a little one in it, kind of a double filtration system here. And then what that does is that you'll get some what we call sugar sand. And that's just some of the that were in that, the food for the tree. You could say the sugar's food, but the other minerals that are in the sap. You don't see it, you don't taste it. Taste a little bit of that sugar content, but anyways, we just discard that. We put that out by the trees, the base of the trees, and we kept this just to show folks that come in. And so another thing that's interesting is we test it. This is an old test kit, but it'll show kind of what the deal is. And these are sealed, so we don't open those. Those are sealed, and they have what it is. And like I said, it's older, so Vermont Fancy and Amber, grade A, grade down to grade B. But the main thing is, one is empty. So you put your product that we make, we'll put it in here, and then you can kind of see how well you did. Which one, what is the grade that you made? And why is that important? Well, it's not. It's not for us. We just drink it all. We put it on pancakes. We give it to our volunteers, and it tastes great. But if you were in the industry, the reason why they do that is because if you make a lighter color syrup, then it's worth a little bit more money. The candy industry, I believe, will pay a premium for that. So, I said I was going to show you this. This is neat. I wonder whose handwriting this is. This is going to be old man Chellberg's, but 1947. We just happened to find this. I said they built this in the 30s, but in 1947, by gum, they started in February 16th. They actually took 3 quarts. No, 3/4. No, what is that? 10 and 3/4 quarts. And then on March 10th, so almost a month away, they took 8 quarts. So, yeah, that was quite a season. Quite a season. They took quite a bit. 36 gallons they made that season. So I love that history there. We ought to put that up. We're going to put that up on the wall here. So that's the maple syrup, what we do here. And I'm just curious, like do you like the pure maple syrup, or do you like maybe the I call it fake, but the one made with corn syrup and like that pancake syrup, or do you like pure maple syrup? Probably better off if you don't like the pure, because you're going to save some money. And what do you do with it if you get a chance and anyone's going to make a comment? Besides pancakes, how do you use it? What's your favorite recipe? I put it in a lot of different things. I like to cook, and I know some squash. A lot of times, I'll score the squash, put a little butter on there, maple syrup. I love that. I've put it in on a roast before. I learned that once. I even put it on pepperoni pizza. I'm just saying. I'm a little cuckoo. So that's what we're doing in here, and making maple syrup, kind of the way the Chellbergs did back there in the 30s, all the way up. Well, you see, this is 1947 until they stopped making it. So, questions? I'd love to hear them. And this is only my second time doing a live Facebook. So definitely, I'm glad you stopped by, and we will answer any that come along the way. And I think I'm really excited. I said last time that we do this operation typically, and we couldn't do it without the volunteers. Well, we couldn't do it without the Friends of Indiana Dunes either, or the Dunes Learning Center. Just fantastic partners of ours, help us financially, help us with the people power. It's just wonderful. And I actually think we're going to do something in the farmhouse. It's just up the lane here. And in the Chellberg farmhouse, with the help of the Friends of Indiana Dunes, I think we might start doing a few of these, or at least one with cooking. So I'm going to be excited about that. I'm going to get in there and help with that. And maybe I've got my feelers out for maybe talking a little bit about perhaps how we have a study across the way. We've worked with this professor figuring out how the climate has been affecting the different the maple trees and the production of syrup. Which produces more, a younger or older sugar maple? Is there a perfect age? Well, that's a great question. So someone asked, well, you can see it, I guess. So, right, we usually between 10 and 12 inches. Some people say you don't tap them until they're about 12 inches in diameter, but I've heard 10 as well. And some of those young maples, holy cow, a 12-inch maple, they just gush and put a lot of sap out. I don't know. I don't really know that question. I think it kind of depends. That's a good one though. How many trees do we tap? How many trees do we tap here? Well, we're trying to tap quite a few. We got a late jump on it this year, but we have a sugar bush. Well, all around here, all four corners. So right across the street, there's a sugar bush. Probably we can tap 25, 30 trees over there. One that we're tapping over here probably has, near the parking lot, has, I think there's darn near 50 taps. And there's a sugar bush back here to the north that we haven't tapped yet. I don't know if we will. But that, I think I've been back there, maybe 40 taps. So all in all, I think we could tap several hundred, have several hundred taps. Now we can put 2 taps on a tree if it's 22, 24 inches in diameter. But we typically just keep it to 1. And what do you do with the maple syrup? I take it all home. Yeah. No, we give it to Harry. We give it to the volunteers that help us out here. Yeah, we used to give a gallon right to the superintendent, and superintendent had a meeting that they went to once a year, and I don't know, big superintendent type meeting, and they auctioned it off, and it was always, I guess, one of the prizes of the region. But I don't know if they still do that. Is maple syrup good on broccoli? I bet it's good on everything. I put that stuff on everything. All right. Well, you can keep those coming if you like, but at this point, thanks a bunch. We really appreciate you. Gets me out being a ranger again. Appreciate it.